the two things that water in video games and water in Australia have in common? Both are full of things that are trying to end your life. To a video game, water can be the most versatile asset in one's arsenal. You can do anything with it, really. You can make an element based around it, you can make levels based around it, and sometimes it's just good to have bosses based around it. The devious little baddies that always want to kill you and send you in a watery grave, they're always so fun to play against for me, except for this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. In order for these bosses to count, well, there's going to be a very strict set of rules. They have to do something with water. So this guy over here doesn't count just because he has water in his name, okay? In case any of you fucking whatever this game is, fans are getting angry right now. So there are the rules. They have to be water related in order to be a water boss in this water list. Okay, let's start it off. Woohoo!
Fucking boss is fucking raw!
It seems to be a trend with these that at the number 10 spot will always be a controversial opinion. Now, Seabold is definitely not recognized as one of the best bosses in Pokemon, hell, even one of the better bosses in Pokemon, but I beg to disagree. Just because Kaos was made to be easier than most does not mean that this boss is bad purely because of it. First of all, look at this arena. He literally floods the whole place with water right before you fight him. How cool is that? He also easily has the best design out of all of the Kalos Elite Four, and I'm willing to say also gym leaders as well, because just look at how suave he is. Look at how dapper he is in that suit. People also say his team is bad, but like, dude, it's the water element. That type has so many fucking weaknesses, it really has no choice if it's only got 4 Pokemon. One criticism I have is that he looks like he would sing this.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars?
Can we pretend that airplane?
Another thing of note is that he is easily the most powerful Kalos Elite Four member. He's actually got a pretty decent team, all things considered, and if his Gyarados Mega Evolved, I'm just saying, he could do some serious damage. Overall, you'll need to stop hating on my boy Seabold. He's still pretty sick, and I enjoy him. He's also a chef, which is why Gordon Ramsay, bye! Alright guys, I'm gonna be talking about Yokai Watch. Oh! That was literally a box of tomatoes! Yokai Watch is a game which is not afraid to stay away from weird f***ing shit. For example, this guy rides a boat down the river Styx, which, in case you don't know, is the Greek path to hell. Not just that, but he's also got some very creative attacks. After every couple hits, he'll spawn 1 of 3 fish. Depending on RNG, he can spawn Scarp, which attacks you physically, Zabrao, which attacks you with spiritual attacks, and Gemble, which heals him. One big W for this boss, in my opinion, is the fact that it raises so many questions. For example, his name, Styx Mark 6. Okay, so let's break this down. Styx as in the river Styx, Mark as in he's not the first Styx, and 6 as in he's the 6th Styx. What the heck? Is he named after the boat? Is the boat him? What? This makes absolutely zero sense. He's also a recolor of an earlier boss. Maybe this earlier boss, SV Snaggerjag, was previously a Styx Mark 5 or 4, you know, any of the other numbers? In conclusion, Styx is pretty Styx. Get it? Star Fox 64 is one of my favorite video games that I've ever played, but even since my first playthrough, one single thing has stuck with me. If you choose to play the hard route, you come across a planet called Zonus. It's an oceanic planet used by mad scientist Andros to mine oil, polluting the once beautiful lands and making the planet nearly uninhabitable. So you zoom all throughout the toxic atmosphere, searching endlessly for the one responsible. And you meet Cat, someone Falco knew from the planet. It must have been his hometown, and it's been ruined. Furious, you set out through the skies until you hear a low rumble, an ominous growling from the bowels of the furious ocean. And you see the cause, the man in charge, and his battle submarine. Now, Star Fox, being a space-focused game, would not have the highest selection of water-based bosses, but since the other one is literally a clam, I think I chose the better one. Sarumarend is like that one mutual friend that everyone has in high school. They're here for a good time, but not a long time. If you play good, then the boss only lasts like a minute, so really, it's not the longest boss, so how did it make this list? Well, despite its short longevity, it does have some really fun and fleshed out ideas. For example, you need to attack the horns on the top, then you can attack the cannons, and then you can finally blast the submarine. But the crane on the other end of the submarine can yank up the turrets again, so it will keep replenishing health if it does so. It's the perfect closer to the level that I personally believe to be my favorite in the whole game. And really, look at this atmosphere, man. It's just so good. So despite its very few shortcomings, Sarumarine is held very near and dear to my heart, and that is why it is on this list. You know what? Sea monsters are cool. Oh golly gee, do I love Zelda. Holy crap, you guys, I love Zelda so much. Oh, what is that? Excuse me, not my fetish, thank you. But Sentai, I hear you say. It's not that cool, it's just a big mouth coming out of the ground. What's so cool about that? Oh yeah? Boom! How you like that, brother? Wow! Morphle is just one of those bosses that you just... you can't explain your feelings on him. On the one hand, he is a massive eel creature that spits fish out of his mouth with multiple tentacles emanating from around his face. But on the other hand, he's also kind of docile. Like, he's been corrupted by the power of the Twilight, yeah, but he doesn't really attack you all that much himself. He kind of just sits there and swims around feebly. And I kind of love him for it. Morphle's like a big, oversized pet snake. He's just a cutie patootie. Look at him. He's designed impeccably, sure, but in the end, what I really look for in a boss is fun, and what is more fun than latching to the back of a giant sea monster, stabbing its eyeball, and then jumping off? And the cutscene after you finish him off is just like, oh no, you killed my baby. What shall I ever do? He kind of just slams into a wall and just like, he's dead now. But it's kind of silly, really. Look at him. He's just a big, goofy little guy.
Didn't you hear what I just said? Goofball.
How the f*** do I pronounce that? Some people are just gonna be like, what the frick? That thing's not in the water. How is it on the list? And to that I say, what? I would never, ever put something on this list purely because I wanted to talk about it and loosely base it to water. What? That's not me. Okay, listen up. I'm pretty sure that cuttlefish live underwater, and this thing is a cuttlefish, so I'm allowed to have it on the list. Got you capiche? So to start off, let's talk about this thing's design. I really personally think this is a great design. It's a great use of deception, because when you first fight it, you think it's a big bone dragon, then when you get to its weak point, it's a squid, and the two dragon heads are actually tentacles. Another great thing about this boss, as we've already established, I extremely love gigantic bosses, and this thing certainly fits that bill. This boss is also extremely hard. When I fought it, I died about more times than I can count on 2 hands and 2 feet. But you know me, I like a challenge, except for the fact that challenges can sometimes be challenging, and oh no, I do not like facing adversity, oh no. Also, this boss comes from the Monster Hunter franchise, which instantly makes it a great boss because the Monster Hunter franchise has never had any bad bosses. Am I right, guys? Am I right? All in all, this boss is pretty freaking great. Let's move on. Oh yeah, you hear that music, you know exactly what time it is. Oh boy, we're gonna get to the good stuff. Oh yeah, woo! Haha, you cretin, I tricked you. You thought it was gonna be Undertale, but it isn't. It's actually a God of War. Now, I've already talked about Poseidon in another video, but honestly, there's just so much to say about him. He just totally fleshes out the concept of what a water boss should be, using that concept of water to its very fullest. Kaitos in this fight is just so impeccable. It's like he's at peak performance at the first boss of the damn game. Like literally, riding the mother of all titans, scaling a mountain, while fighting a giant horse water boss god thing is just so impressive and spectacle that mentioning it twice across videos doesn't do much to deter me from the concept. And the sheer joy you get from Mother Gaia punching Poseidon so hard his physical form comes out of his body so that you can just on him is just impeccable. All in all, I already talked about him in a previous video. Go watch that one if you want to hear the other thoughts I have about him. And yeah, that was Poseidon.
Boy, we must go to number 4, boy.
Yes, father, we shall do that right away.
Boy.
I don't remember this thing's name. Was it Quagmire-Hog? Was it Quagmire Beast? Was it Quagmire?
Ting tang, walla walla bing bang.
Oh, I remember it was called the Come on, guys, what do you mean? This boss is very connected to water. The arena's raining, and he's leaving big puddles. Like, come on, guys. Like I would never put a boss on this list just so I could talk about them while loosely basing them to the theme of the video. I've never done that before. Okay, fine. Believe me in the comments all you want, but this is genuinely one of the best bosses to ever come out of a Nintendo game in recent memory. No, I'm genuinely not saying that. This is probably my most enjoyable boss out of 2019. For one, just look at this thing. This has got to be one of the most creative boss designs I've ever seen. It's literally a clump of dirt that they made interesting and decided, oh yeah, We should make this mound of dirt with a flower on it into a literal boss fight for our game.
And it kind of looks like he has a smiley face. Look at that.
Putting aside my overwhelming affection for this thing, this is a very strategy-oriented boss, which I absolutely love because I'm a Zelda fan. So for one, due to all of the wet puddles around the arena, which connects it to water for the list, okay, means that the safest option for you is really your probably worst Pikmin, the blue Pikmin, which does absolutely terrible damage. But it's probably the only Pikmin which is safe to use in this environment. So you gotta weaken the tree root tongue leg thingy, what's that, and then you can get finally back up on top and you can just start going at it. Just hammering away, but oh my god, what is that? That so happens to be its, weird looking tongue thing, which I am still trying to decide what it is. It looks like a sea cucumber. It sweeps up your Pikmin and scoops him into his mouth hole. And then, at the end of that, Strawberry Brain. All said and done, the Quaggle is a pretty good boss. And next. Ashamed to admit the extent of my affections for this boss. What seems to be a fairly kind of boss in this game, to me, is one of my absolute favorites. But just look at this thing. When I was younger and booting up the game, I was logging in like because this boss scared the absolute living shit out of me. It also makes great use of a mechanic which previously had gone unexplored in the realm of boss fights, that being Mario grabbing onto Koopa shells in order to through the water. And, of course, he's a big skeleton fish. That's just cool in its own right. Also, how strong can Mario throw this stuff underwater? Like, Jesus, you're cracking bones. Bones are dense. Like, how tough are Koopa shells? Now, I'm sure you've heard enough of me ranting about how much I love this big fishy thingy-majiggy, whatever it is. But, yeah, I think we've heard enough. I'm pretty sure half of this list has just been because of my personal affections for bosses and not the actual quality of the fight, so let's move on to the best of the best. Some of you are going to have some very choice words about this selection.
Here's a real high-class bout. Now go!
Is it getting hot in here? Calabaria, getting to number 2 purely because of the pun. I'm just kidding, that is not the reason she is here. It's part of the reason, I'm not gonna lie to you. Apart from certain, traits, there are quite a large number of factors that got Calamaria to her number 2 spot. For example, attack variety. Now look at this. I implore you to name one other game where a large woman pulls a fish out of the ocean which spews things at you, which makes you, die. If you did think of one, tell me the name of the game and where I can purchase. Another point of contention would be her multiple phases. First phase isn't too tough by Cuphead standards, but the second phase really can mess you up. She will turn you to stone with her eyes, and if you don't mash fast enough to break out, then you're kinda screwed. She summons eels which spew bullets at you, and then, like, what's even going on? Like, brother, this is what they mean by bullet hell. Maria will then, after you've wailed on her enough, she will go into her Gorgon phase. Now, for this section of the game, this is the most fun, easily. You will have to go through a whole coral reef while dodging her attacks, and she'll send a big shriek at you which can turn you to stone. And if you're stone form for too long, you might crash into the coral and get screwed. but this does take the least amount of time to beat, even though it took me about 40 attempts to beat her on my first playthrough. So yeah, Calamaria. And now for number 1. Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's see what bosses you've got for me today.
Oh, would you look at that? It's a little watery guy. What's he doing here?
He's definitely water. I feel as if he's a little bit too small, though. Let's go to a different one. That's the same guy.
Okay, well, that's just him, but now he can swim.
What the fuck? Oh, that's disappointing. Would have thought Sonic would have more to offer, but then again, he can't really swim, so what's the good in having water bosses in his game? Wait, what's going on? Hold on. What? Wait, what? Hogue! What? Oh yeah, this is our guy. Great. What's that? The 4th humongous tentacled water thing on this list? And yeah, this battle is just the power of friendship personified. But honestly, I could not care less because this fight kicks ass.
We, as members of the SkyTubing board, please excuse Simtide's profanity. We shall be executing him at once.
So basically, after fighting Chaos after all this time throughout all of the game, he's basically at his most powerful. He's absorbed all of the Chaos Emeralds and all of the most negative energy on the planet. So Sonic gets powered up by all of his friends, yay! And he's zooming down Chicago trying to beat the monster. Sheer and absolute spectacle aside, for what time this game was released, this has got to be so impressive. One thing I love about this fight is that you can always see Perfect Chaos in the background somewhere, destroying the city. It really ups the stakes of this fight. My god, it is just such a perfect send-off to this game. Godspeed, Perfect Chaos. You are definitely the most perfectest Chaos. I've been Simtide, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Okay, video's over. Let's get down to business.